chapter 2, we will cover we are moving to Karma Yoga in chapter 2. We've been doing Jnana Yoga, which is, uh, um, yeah. So we have been doing the Yoga of Knowledge so far.
Mhm.
And within the chapter 2, now Krishna is going to move from knowledge to action. So Krishna realizes probably it is too much of a heavy dose for Arjuna. Now, when he starts talking about Purusha, Prakriti, soul, body, there is something eternal, there is something transient, all that is a little too heavy. So Arjuna's question, should I fight or I should not fight? I mean, he still has not addressed that directly. So Krishna has straight away dived into a very, very high level of consciousness. He has spoken about the Sankhya Yoga, which is about the Purusha, Prakriti, etc. And he also said the super consciousness, that is the Purusha, that is eternal, and the body is going to perish, and so it doesn't matter. You go ahead, fight. Whether you fight, whether you win or the war or not win, you will still stand to gain. All that, But Arjuna seems to have his own queries in his mind because his question is really, really not answered. And now the pivot and the movement is going to be something very interesting. And according to me, in my view, the jnana part of it, the jnana yoga, which is the yoga of knowledge, the Sankhya yoga, which is absolutely the ultimate truth. That is, there is truth in it. But when we move to this karma yoga, it's going to give us a lot of tips and a lot of things for us to use on a daily basis. The birth and death, the knowledge of that is good, that the Sharira is going to die and there's the Atma remains. That's good. That's very good. That's ultimate. For us to reach there is where beyond that is the moksha. All that is fine. But at this point in life, we may be very happy to hear, how do I lead my life every day? So that is where the Karma Yoga comes in. That is the yoga of action. That is where Krishna moves to. So I just want to share this with you. Am I a co-host? Yeah, I am, right? Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So we had done till about the previous 38, shloka 38, where I was mentioning that is kind of a transitioning shloka from the Sankhya Yoga to the Yoga of Action, which was, Krishna was trying to say Sukha Dukkhe. I don't know if you remember Sukha Dukkhe, Same Hato Aprakshyase. No. Yeah, this was 38. Sukha Dukkhe Same Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Jayo Tato Yuddhaya Yujyasva Naivam Papam Avapsyasi. So Arjuna, Krishna is telling Arjuna, Arjuna treats Sukha, Dukkha, Labha, Alabha, which is the gain and the loss, Jaya, Ajaya, which is your success and the failure on an equal footing. Treat them all equally, and that means, and then go and do your yuddha, which is go for the war and fight it. And you will not be accumulating any sin. That is what he's naivam papam avapsyasi, which is your ability to treat the outcome, the result of the war on an equal footing. Then you will not be really accumulating any karma or the papa. So that is where there's a transitioning shloka where Krishna is moving towards karma phala tyaga, which is desireless action and not being attached to the outcome. Not being attached to the outcome. That is what he is going to be introducing in the Karma Yoga. That is what we will get into right now. So, Sankhya to Karma. Krishna pivots. He makes a sudden turn. It's a U turn from Sankhya to Yoga. Yoga is nothing but Karma Yoga. So we'll just take a look at the very first shloka out here. Then we'll try to explore what is yoga, what is karma yoga, who is the pioneer of this yoga, who started off the whole thing, what does yoga mean actually. We'll just get into that in a little bit detail. So we'll look at the shloka first, 39. Now, one thing that we all have to remember is 39th is a shloka is the pivot from Sankhya yoga to karma yoga. Esha te bhihita sankhye buddhir yoge tvimam shruno buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandha prahasyasi. So here what he is trying to say is, so far I have been giving you the wisdom of I have declared you the wisdom of Sankhya. Now listen to the wisdom of yoga. Once you know the wisdom of yoga, you will cast off all bonds of action. Now, what does that mean? You'll not bonded by your action. When will you not be bonded by your action? You will not be bonded by your action when you do selfless action and when you're not attached to the results. When your action is selfless, you're doing it because it is your duty, because you have to do the action, because that is your swadharma, and you turn up doing it, and you're not concerned or you're not attached to the outcome of the action. When you're in that state of mind, which is karma yoga, you will not be bound by that action. You'll not be worried about it. Now, this is directly relevant to all of us in our lives. Probably in our life, in the job, you don't want to take up a new project because you're worried how will you be performing it. You don't want to say a certain thing that you think is important to be said because you don't know what others will think about it. All the time, we are concerned about the outcome of the action. Constantly, we are concerned. And as a result, we are not able to take up challenges. We are not able to fully showcase our potential in such a way because we are concerned about the outcome. So now let us dive a little deeper into what is all this. Check it out here. Yeah. So what is yoga and what is karma yoga? This is something we've got to be really clear. What is the meaning of yoga? Yoga, they say, is anything you want to say? It is such a short, small little audience that I have. You want to say what is yoga? Yes, Shilpa?
Uh, I will say that it's a connection between the mind, body, and soul.
Yeah,
Connection of mind, body, and soul.
yeah, yes. You're right. You're right. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So, yoga, in other words, is a union. It is your body, mind,
Yes.
and breath and intellect, everything put together is aligned. It's not that your body is saying something, mind is saying something else, intellect is saying something else, and you are distracted all over. No, it is a very alignment. So, that is the reason we say yoga is a union. Yoga is a union, and the terminology called yoga has been used right from the pre-Vedic days. Yeah, and it has been found in scriptures like the oldest scripture like Rig Veda. And then, of course, it has been in there in the Itihasa, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and the Puranas, etc., etc. But if you were to ask me who put yoga, now the pioneer of Sankhya Yoga was Kapila Muni. Kapila is the person that Muni. He is one of those rishis, one of the most ancient rishis. He is the pioneer of Sankhya Yoga. Very similarly, now yoga, the pioneer of yoga is Patanjali. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. Because Patanjali gives clear 8 limbs to moksha. How do you ultimately get into that union? How to, well, now some people say, right, I'm feeling so perturbed, I'm disturbed, I'm trying to meditate. It is not that easy to meditate according to Patanjali. Before you go and sit for meditation, you should have followed 6, 7 steps before that. Only when you go from step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh level is meditation before samadhi, eighth level. So Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali gives a clear process as to how to achieve that union. And now when Karma Yoga, Krishna uses, we'll just go back to that. But before that, when Krishna talks about Karma Yoga in this chapter, he is talking about your ability to perform a karma or an action with that complete alignment and union. So that is the reason karma yogi. They are yogis, the people who are able to perform action without any duality, without any conflict, without any disturbances inside, without any misalignment, with complete alignment of body, mind, intellect, and soul. You're able to perform, or you're able to talk, communicate, interact, act. So that union. So yoga is union. Karma yoga is your ability to perform your action in that union and alignment. So what Krishna is trying to say is, if you can perform in that level of alignment, you will not be accumulating any papa, because you're completely convinced you will not be accumulating any sin. Now, even before that, going back to what are these Ashtanga Yoga? What are the steps to go to that level? So now Patanjali says it is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Okay, so now when we say Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi is the highest level, which is complete oneness. So if there are those rishis and munis, they are sitting there and meditating, they are in complete oneness, connected to the cosmos. So that is the highest level, the eighth level, the complete union. But before you reach there, the seventh level is dharana dhyana. That is what is meditation. And the sixth level, one before that, is dharana, which is your ability to concentrate. So concentration, meditation, oneness. And these are the highest levels. But even before reaching all of that, he starts with Patanjali Yoga Sutra. It starts with Yama. You got to make a list of things you should not be doing. Yama, that you should not do. You need to have, I mean, this list can be, I mean, he does give those kind of norms in his book, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, things like, I will not lie. The basic code of conduct. I'll speak the truth. So this is what not to do. I should not lie. The should not, should not. Yeah. Now you have to make your own list of things that you should not do. Not to be lazy, not to lie, not to be disrespectful. There are multiple those norms. That is one thing that we need to follow. The second thing that he talks about is niyama, discipline. What you should do. So as this was very nicely said by Stephen Covey, he says, along with making a list, the to-do list every day, you should also make a list not to do list. What is it you should not be doing? That itself can, take us to a great level of peace and happiness. There are certain things, many times, we turn up speaking in such a harsh language that we regret. We turn up saying certain things that we should not have said, we regret. So there is the very first rule Patanjali talks about is in the Ashtanga Yoga, what not to do, make a list of it. Now, how do you make this list? You don't have to really go back to his book, but you can just contemplate and think, what are certain things I've regretted that I don't want to do? You can make a list of it, 4 or 5 items. Very commonplace things that we turn up doing every day. The certain things you should not do. The second thing is what you should do. What are certain things that I need to follow? I must do it non-negotiably every day. The second. Number 3, Patanjali talks about is yoga. Yama, niyama, asana. This is the physical body exercises. So now this physicality and the body exercises play such an important role toward taking you to the union, taking you to the yogic mindset. Yeah, number 3 is even it can be the yogasanas, it can be any kind of exercises. Patanjali insists on that. Now we are talking about all these things so that ultimately we go to the karma yogic mindset. Yoga is nothing but the union. We are in alignment. We are not in contradiction. We are not in internal conflict. Yeah. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. The fourth step he talks about is your ability to control your breath. Your ability to manage your breath, the deep breathing. There are different kinds of pranayams we turn up doing because breath is what counts how many years you're going to be living. Breath resides. I believe there is a pre-designed, so many breaths we are going to take in this life. So your ability to manage your breath, and if you can control your breath, you're going to live longer. That is what is believed. And those sages and munis and yogis never ate so much, but they lived very, very long. And that is because they were able to do the pranayam very, very effectively. That is the fourth step Patanjali talks about. Then fifth step he talks about is pratyahara. Pratyahara is nothing but controlling your mind. Mind ultimately is the culprit, which is, carried away by the senses and the senses by the sense objects. That's because, we are more attracted towards the Prakriti rather than the Purusha. So this is what, because all the senses are looking external. So controlling your mind. Ultimately, Bhagavad Gita talks about controlling of the mind. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, then comes dharana. Then you see whether you can focus and concentrate. Dharana is all about your ability to dharan karna. Dharana is focus on one single-minded focus. So when you're reading something, you're reading that. When you're watching something, you're watching that. When you're listening to somebody, you're listening all the time. So your ability to focus and do that single-minded focus will lead to success. So that is dharana. So these are all steps required before you go to meditation, dhyana, and then samadhi. Samadhi in the ideal sense is the total oneness that he talks about. Yeah. So that is what it is now. Patanjali is the pioneer of Yoga Sutra yoga. And how does Krishna bring that in here? So he does take that concept from there. I mean, Krishna is the, Krishna, Patanjali came after Krishna, after Krishna, and he put it in the form of academic orientation so that people follow all of this. And yoga as a terminology has been there for a very long time. When Krishna talks about yoga, he tells how the union has to be brought in each one of the action that we commit to. So he's telling Arjuna, don't be in that internal conflict. When you follow the karma yoga, you will have to do it with conviction, internal conviction, and there is no conflict inside. And when you turn up doing that, your action will be selfless. Your action will be for the sake of action because you're completely convinced. The moment you are completely convinced, you're not looking for validation from outside. That is one. Then, number two, you will not be interested in the outcome of the action. You'll not be attached to the action because the action itself, you're so completely in alignment. You believe in it completely. The conviction is there and you will go ahead. That is typically, and then he says you'll cast off your bonds of action, which is you'll not be stuck. You'll not be worried about it. Yeah. So this is the very first shloka in Karma Yoga Krishna is introducing to Arjuna. Then what he goes on to is Krishna continues. This is very beautiful again. Neha Bhikramanaşosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So now he brings in a comparison between karma kanda and karma yoga. This is something very important. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat, which is, he said there is no effort lost nor harmful consequences for a karma yogi. Even a little practice of dharma, dharmic karma, which is your swadharma, which is your karma, they are both the same, protects you from great danger. Now, what does that mean? He also says you're rewarded here and hereafter. Krishna is telling Arjuna, when you do your swadharma with complete alignment and union, you will stand to gain and you will not lose anything. Now, once again, going back to the definition of swadharma or the union or the karma yoga, it is working without contradiction inside, in complete alignment, selfless action, and you have conviction and you're not attached to the result. When such is the case, then you're going to be rewarded here and hereafter. Now, what does that mean? Now, when we turn up using the word karma yoga from now on, with chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, all that is about karma yoga. So when we turn up using that, we are talking about nishkama karma. When Krishna uses the word karma yoga, he is talking about nishkama karma, which is desireless action. What does that mean? Does it mean that we are not putting in enough passion into the action? No. Desireless toward, which is we are not attached to the outcome of the action. We are not desirous about the outcome of the action. So when Krishna says without desire action, you turn up performing or a selfless action, he says you're going to be doing it because you're completely in union of it. You're convinced about it. You are passionate about the action, but you're not concerned and worried about the result of the action. Now, when he says in this, there is no lost effort. So let us take the context of Arjuna. Arjuna is fighting here and Krishna is asking him to fight. And he says, whether you win or lose, don't worry. You should not be worried about the consequences or the outcome of your action. You have to be completely aligned to your action. And there is not going to be any lost effort. And there is no harmful consequence. Um, Now, what does he mean by that? Now, here and hereafter. So one is like one of the shlokas we saw in the last week, Hato va prapsyase swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim. So if you win the war, you will enjoy it here. If you lose the war, you will go to the swarga because you are a kshatriya and you did your swadharma rightly and you will win there. So that is what is here and hereafter. When you turn up doing your karma, which is your swadharma, in the right way, in the right state of mind, without being attached to the result, you don't worry about the result because you're not attached to the result. If you lose, you've still done your karma. It's going to take care of you hereafter in the next world. And also if you win it, you're going to be happy now. So both ways, you're going to be a winner. Now, if I relate this to our everyday stuff, so what does it mean when he says protects one from great danger? So not doing that karma is dangerous. That's what Krishna is trying to say, which is simple examples like our everyday affair. Like I just took the example some time back. You do not, probably you want to say something to your colleague, but you're not doing that. Maybe you want to say something to your spouse or your children or somebody close by. You strongly believe in that. You're not doing that. You're not saying that. You're not taking that action. That is because you're worried what they will think, what will happen to me. If it is your office, you may be concerned about how will my manager appraise me and what will he or she think of me. All these are consequences you're thinking of. So now, Krishna says, if you can be very clear in your mind and not worry about the outcome, you'll turn up performing it. And when you turn up performing the action, you'll stop overthinking. So what happens when you have a desire in your mind, but when you're not performing, when you're not taking action? There is a dilemma inside, there is a conflict inside. You want to do it, but you're not brave enough to do it. Why is it you're not brave enough? That is because you're concerned about the consequence. So once you remove that, you're detached from the consequences, detached from the outcome, you will perform and you will be the winner this way or that way. And the danger is not performing, which is there is a fair possibility you will sit and regret. I wanted it, but I'm not able to do it. So many people, many leaders who come to me, even in the coaching platform, they're all into over analysis and overthinking because they are worried about what will happen if it doesn't work, what the consequences of failure, the consequences of insult, consequences of what people will think of me, what will happen to the relationship. There is every time we are not, it's what acts as a hurdle to all of us in taking any important action is the consequence and the outcome. So that is a huge thing Krishna is telling us. Do not worry about the outcome. Align yourself internally. Be very clear, bring in that clarity, harmony, and balance inside of you and perform the action without being selfish. And consider that as your dharma and karma and go ahead, do it, and you will be rewarded here and hereafter. And another meaning for hereafter out here, of course, because our Sanatana Dharma does believe in reincarnation, rebirth. And according to the science of the Hindu philosophy and the Dharma, is we carry over our vasanas. So that is the reason swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little dharma that you turn up doing, which is even the spiritual practices that you turn up doing rightly in this janma, does not go waste. Your sukshma sharira is going to carry that into the next birth. Your sukshma sharira, which is your mind, will carry that. Each one of the jivatma, whatever we have the vasanas and the imprints that has been carried over from lot of previous birth. And now to go back to it also, manushyatva, mumukshatva, the very fact that we've gotten into this birth of a human being, that itself is a huge fortune. We really don't know what the next birth is going to be. Seriously, we don't know. So when you keep performing the dharmic activity, that is the spiritual meaning of it. When you keep performing the dharmic activities, don't think it is going to be after you die, it's going to be gone. No, it will not go. That is what is the hereafter according to Krishna. One is in this birth itself, you're going to be very happy that you turned up doing it. Number two is hereafter is futuristically after this birth. Again, it is going to be carried over. The vasanas will be with you, and you will be probably born into a greater dharmic family, in a greater plane, a greater platform for you to go to the level next. Yeah. So that is what is the importance of doing selfless action without being attached to the outcome and spiritually aligned. The spiritual alignment is nothing but no conflict inside. Or even if there is a conflict, your ability to recognize that conflict and resolve it internally before you move ahead and take action and move ahead. Now, I have seen the people who don't take action, they indulge into overthinking. Overthinking leads to stress, and it leads to a lot of ripple effect, which is negative in nature. Huh. So in the next four shlokas, he talks about, he differentiates between karma kanda and karma yoga. Anybody knows what is karma kanda? Heard of the karma kandas?
Is it about religious?
Kind ritual.
Sorry.
Yes, Shilpa?
Rituals, some rituals are performed.
Yeah, that is right.
Certain times.
Correct.
Yeah.
Chantings, rituals. And where does it appear? It is the first three parts of the Vedas. The Vedas have four parts: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Vedanta. The first three are Karma Kandas. Vedanta is Jnana Kanda, which is about the yoga of knowledge. So that is what we are largely talking about, Sankhya Yoga and other things. But now the first three are ritualistic. Samhita is all about chanting and the mantras and things. Then we have the Brahmanas, which is all rituals. And Aranyaka is a transition between the ritual and Jnana, which is Aranya is forest. These sannyasis who move to the forest, they've just, they are very well read. They have done all of those rituals. Now they want to go to the next level and they want to move into the Jnana Kanda. Yeah. So now what Krishna says is each one of the Karma Kanda exercises either a chanting or a ritual or a fire ceremony or sacrifices that we all believe in. And they're all good, of course. But what he says is all those things people turn up doing transactionally. See, there is something called Putra Kameshti Yoga, Yaga. And there is something called what? Rajasuya Yaga. And there is something called, I'll do this yaga and God give me wealth. Sorry?
Out of a desire, expectation.
Exactly. Out of desire and expectation and very clear cut expectations for money, how to accumulate more wealth. I want my daughter to get married, then I'm going to be reading, chanting a certain shlokas. There is something called, it's very transactional. There's nothing wrong about it. But what Krishna says is the rules of the karma kanda can be very strict. Because you do a certain ritual in a wrong way, it can have negative impact. You chant a certain mantra in a wrong way, it can have negative impact. Those are the rules of karma kanda. That is one. Then number two, karma kanda can at best give you some pleasure, and maximum it can take you to the celestial level. You maybe go to heaven, or even in this world, probably you'll get the benefit of money, or you'll get the benefit of something else, material. But it is not going to take you all the way. Yeah, and it has its own limitations. But on the other hand, Krishna says karma yoga, there is nothing, swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. You will never regret doing karma yoga in the right way. And you can never be wrong about it. It is just that you've got to set your intentions right, selfless action, not attached to outcome. And you're aligned from inside, you're not conflicting yourself internally. So these next three shlokas, Krishna talks about these. Yeah. So these are essentially the 3-4 shlokas Krishna talks about. Cautioning on Vedic rituals with expectations of reward, saying it does not lead to moksha. It may lead one to celestial world. So it can give you temporary satisfactions, but on the other hand, it does not liberate you. It doesn't make you Jivan Mukta. No. It doesn't give you that eternal bliss, a complete bliss. No. Because it is transactional. You're saying so much you're going to give, so much you will get. And also they have lots of norms about following. You cannot chant a certain thing in a certain way. You cannot do rituals carelessly. You got to really, really take care of them. Then he also, Krishna talks about karma plus attachment, either kama or moha, does not get one ready for dhyana and samadhi. You have to get rid of those desires and your interest in the outcome. So only when you go to that union level, you are ready for dhyana and samadhi. And dhyana and samadhi are the 7th and the 8th limb of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Then he says the most difficult is nishkama karma, which is a selfless action. Resolute and determined are the people on the path of nishkama karma. And when somebody is able to do that nishkama karma, they are directly in the path of moksha. That's what Krishna talks about. So this is for the first time Krishna is introducing the gunas to us. What are the 3 gunas? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. That is something probably we have made a mention in the past. So it is chapter 2 and 45. Krishna introduces gunas to us, and what he says is Traigunya Vishayaha Vedaha. Vedas talk about the material nature called the gunas. The 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Arjuna, go transcend beyond the 3 gunas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. I'll come up with the adjectives and what exactly is Sattva and what is Rajas and what is Tamas. But so Krishna is saying, going back to the first part of it, Traigunya Vishayaha Vedaha, the 3 material nature Vedas talk about. Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna, Arjuna, go beyond, transcend above these 3 gunas. Nidvandvaha Nitya Sattvastaha. Stick to the path, nidvandvaha. Okay, stay away from the dualities, the likes and dislikes, gain and loss, happy with something, you're sad with something else. Try to become free from the dualities, that is nirdvandva. Nitya sattvastaha. Stay in the path of sattva guna. Now that looks like a contradiction because nistraigunya bhavarjuna, when Krishna says in the first line, he's telling Arjuna, go beyond the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. But in the second line, he says, Nitya Sattvastaha. Stay in the path of Sattva. We'll talk about it. Then, Niryogakshema Atmavad, which is don't be craving for preservation and accumulation of material things. And Atmavan, which is be concentrated and focus on the self. So this is what he talks about. Just to look at the meaning, Vedas address 3 gunas of the material nature. See, now when we say material nature, it is a part of Prakriti. The 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajo, and Tamas, that's not a part of Purusha. Purusha, the super consciousness, the ultimate energy is not impacted by these gunas. That is neutral. Yeah, that is inside of us, the same Purusha is there, available to us. That energy, that is neutral. That it is like electricity. They turn up giving the example, right, in the Advaita context. It is like electricity. Electricity does not decide, is not partial to AC, air con or a fan or a light or you're using a blender or a washing machine. It is just providing energy. It is the gadgets that act differently. Now, electricity is the ultimate energy, and that is not impacted by all of these gunas. So these are the 3 gunas of the material nature. Arjuna, transcend, go beyond them. Don't get caught by sattva, rajas, and tamas. Do not get caught. Free from the dualities. Stay away from the dualities. Be equanimous, centered. Hold on to sattva and stay free from the thoughts of acquisition and preservation and be established in the self. Now, the only contradiction that seems like is, one is he is telling Arjuna, transcend from all the 3 gunas, sattva, raja, and tamas. But then later he is saying, hold on to sattva. Any answer to this?
It is because that will only lead you towards the liberation.
Fantastic. Very good. That is a stepping stone. That is a stepping stone, but that is also a part of Prakriti and not part of Purusha. But if you want to become aligned with Purusha, ultimately, you got to first move from your tamas to rajas to sattva. Sattva is a better place to hold on to rather than rajas and tamas. So that is the best among the gunas available to us. And that is easy for us to latch on. We cannot directly probably go into the, get into the, align with the super consciousness. But then if we can practice our life with the sattvic qualities, that is a stepping stone and a beautiful stepping stone, a pathway gets open to us, and that will make us move towards the ultimate, the liberation. So now what is sattva? Sattva is a behavior which is balanced, which is calm, which is honest, um, which is aligned, uh, which is I would say balanced. All of these are the qualities of sattva. What is rajas? Rajas is ambition, restlessness, interest in accumulation, action. All these are rajas. All these are
How come
rajas.
how come action is rajas? Because without action, nothing will happen, right?
Action with the intent of ambition
Okay.
to achieve something. Yeah. So action itself, in chapter 3, we'll talk about the karma and multiple things in karma. So action with the intent of ambition is rajas. So constantly acting. Now, these people who are constantly acting might have a little difficulty even sitting down and meditating. It is very difficult for them to calm themselves. Vikram, did you raise your hand?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So I think it's confusing and contradictory, right?
Yes. Tell me.
Because if we don't have ambitions, how can we grow in our life?
Good question. Good question. Any answer? Shilpa? No? Okay. So if this ambition is aligned with Swadharma, if this ambition is selfless, if in this ambition you're doing because you are passionate, you are clear, you are convinced, and you are aligned, that is the reason you're doing it. And you will have an outcome, but you're not attached to the outcome. If that is the scenario, you're in the path of Satya.
Sorry, it is going in the rabbit hole, but a
Hmm.
person who is a family man, he will have
Yes,
ambitious,
yes,
right? He will have ambition for growth, for
yes,
establishment,
yes,
for a better wealth, right?
yes,
So
yes.
it means that he is deviating from the path, right?
Let us not even talk about the moksha and things like that. We've not seen all that. We'll just talk about the what we experience in the daily activity. I'll address your question. So now
Yeah.
the point here is when you're passionate, when you're ambitious, and you're looking for a certain outcome, you want to become richer, there's nothing wrong about it. Now the point is if you're only in the state of rajas, there is a possibility you'll see ups and downs in life. You'll go through the depressions, you
Yes.
will have expectations, you will have failures, you will go through those outcomes. Some people will just get depressed for a long time, they'll stay down there, they won't even bounce back. If you want to be free of all that, and also we don't want to get into that kind of space, right? It's very painful.
Mhm.
Does that somewhere ring a bell, Vikram?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
is exactly what it is. This is something we experience.
So basically, Sattva says that you stay in a samta.
Yes, samta samatvam yoga muchyate. Yes, you stay in that balance. You don't, yeah, very simply, it is an action you're doing because you're completely aligned from internally, you believe in it. And you also believe that it's going to take you to the next level. It's fine. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. but you're doing while you're doing the action, you're not constantly thinking of the outcome. You are separating the action and the outcome. You're kind of detached to the outcome, but you're going to put your complete passion. Sattva is not saying you're not supposed to be passionate. Passionate with alignment internally. And not too worried or carried away by the outcome or attachment to the outcome. Yeah. It is difficult. It's really, really hard. But next time, just think of it. You go to your supervisor's room. You're going to ask for a promotion. You go completely prepared. You're convinced. You've got those 3 points where you have really, really excelled. And you're going to talk about it. And you're not really at the moment thinking about the outcome. There is a fair possibility your performance is going to be high potential. Because at the moment, you're not worried because you are convinced whatever you're talking is absolutely sane in your mind, in your pure intellect. You have a belief in it and you're not really worried about it and you go and do it. And you're neutral. You're not really concerned. Now, there is a possibility if you get your promotion, you're really happy, you're going to celebrate. Even if you don't get your promotion, you feel very happy you said it. You did what you had to do. Yeah. But on the other hand, if we are really, really concerned about the outcome all the time, then most likely we are concerned more about the outcome when we don't have internal conviction. Establish yourself in that internal conviction and alignment, and there is a fair possibility you will be able to do things at a higher potential without worry. Yeah, that is one way of looking at it. Number two, now, even if you expect the outcome, where is the guarantee? Forget about Krishna, forget about Gita. I have an expectation. Now I'm going to help somebody, and I have an expectation tomorrow that fellow will help. And that the fellow doesn't help.
That is wrong.
My expectation was misplaced. Where is the reality in my expectation? Even in a very practical kind of an argument, expectation is a distortion of reality. How can you expect? Just cannot expect. Because there are multiple networks that is happening outside of you. There is that person who he is probably answerable to another person, and that person's personality itself is very different, and that person's intent probably was different from yours, and multiple things, and you don't have an answer to all that. So expectation, Krishna again says in the future, if you want, you expect. No problem. But face the consequence. Face the consequence. So now the problem with the expectation is, one is you can never be certain what will be the outcome. Number two, because you're concerned so much about the expectation, your performance itself is going to be poor. Because you're worried about the outcome. It has two problems, he says. One is your performance. The best in you may not come out because you're concerned, you're constantly thinking, what will the other person say? And also at the end of it, the outcome is totally beyond your hand anyway. So Krishna in the future chapter very clearly gives us the option. Go ahead expecting, but that doesn't mean you'll have it. Then what will be your state of mind? So it is a little hard, but that is the way it is. Yes, Shilpa. Shilpa, you
I just want to add to this that, yes, I'm saying, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So I would like to add to this, like sattva is like remain in the present moment, and rajas is like to think about the future, and tamas is like remain in the past. If we say sattva is like just remain in the present.
Yeah.
Rajas is expectation means you're thinking about future, and tamas is like you are in the past. If to bring that metaphor kind of thing or analogy.
Sure, yeah, you can look at it that way. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right. Maybe a part of it, yes. The past, in the sense, tamas, I still have not used the adjectives. So tamas is something like lethargy, regret, sloth, inaction, Doing nothing useful. Yes, probably living. Regret is the past. Sitting in the
In short,
regret. Yes.
Yeah.
in short, can we say that all the negativity will belongs to tamasic, ta, all the
Yes.
negativity.
Yes. 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 Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But
Which is
at
yeah.
the same time, these gunas are in a way supporting also. We cannot completely deny the gunas of
Yes.
rajas as well as tamas, because that will
Yes.
be required again.
Required
So
or
even
not
though
required,
they
we will
are
have it. Yes. That is true. That is true.
yes,
So I would say in the world, probably this was the very first psychometric tool. So there are some people in the Rajas category. There are some people who are a combination of, no, I'm sorry, some people in the Tamas category. Some people who are a combination of Rajas and Tamas. Some people are Rajas. Some people who are a combination of Rajas and Sattva. And there are some people who are Sattva. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gunas, the combination. Tamas alone, Tamas and Rajas, Rajas alone, Rajas and Sattva, Sattva alone. So yes, now it's in the continuum, in a kind of scale. People can belong anywhere. This if this extreme is tamas and this extreme is say sattvic. Yeah, people can be anywhere, anywhere. The idea is slightly try to move towards the sattvic in such a way that you purify yourself and purify your mind. That's what he talks about here. Arjuna transcend from all. Ultimately, you've got to go beyond sattva also. That's what Krishna says. That's what even Mundaka Upanishad talks about, Even the higher knowledge, you've got to go beyond that. God says you've got to go beyond me. Drop me also. Don't get attached to me. God is a concept. Don't get attached to anything. So that is, if you want to do that, that is where you have to transcend beyond all the three gunas. But to go to that level, hold on to Tattvik guna. Be a good human being. Now, what this good Swadharma, we have talked about it. Taking care of yourself, taking care of others, taking care of following some of the norm that has been told to us in the Shastras and the Vedas and the Puranas and things like that. They are all the good qualities and try to hold on, try to latch on to that. In a simple way, constantly think, be aware. Why are you doing a certain thing? What is your intention? What are you expecting? What will happen if you do not get what you're expecting? So even before you take an action, if you can become aware in the moment, as you rightly said, Shilpa, being in the moment and awareness, the more and more we cultivate that awareness, we are moving towards the sattvic guna. Let's take the next. Yeah, this is important here from the Mundaka Upanishad. You might have heard the story experiencing bird and witnessing bird. The very beautiful shloka, Dvasuparna Sayuja Sakhaya, Samanam Vriksham Parishasvajate, Tayoranya Pippalam Swadu Atti, Anashnan Anyo Abhishaka Chiti. This is totally spiritual, but it's so beautiful, it fits here so well of a sattvic guna and probably the tamasic. Or I would put it, here it is slightly different. It is the Purusha, the Jivatma and the Paramatma. The story is very beautiful. There is a beautiful tree out there, and there are two golden birds that are sitting. And the golden bird that is sitting in the branch that is down there is the Jivatma. And in the higher branch, there is another bird sitting, that is the Paramatma. And this Jivatma bird goes through ups and downs in life. Sometimes he's happy, sometimes he's sad. And he looks at Paramatma. The Paramatma looks like always in bliss, constantly in bliss. So this Jivatma bird is thinking, how it is happening. Then it wants to check its own life. How can I reach there to that branch and be that happy always? So what is the routine of the Jivatma bird? Now they are sitting in a tree. So Jivatma, whenever he is hungry, he just looks around. There is a beautiful lush berry fruit that is hanging in the tree, and he is externally focused and he wants to go and consume it. And he goes, and because he is hungry, he goes and consumes it. And the fruit is really sweet and nice. And as it tastes so good, he feels very happy, extremely satisfied. He said, "Hum, bahut khush hain aaj." He is absolutely happy and on top of the world and goes back to his nest and he just sits there. He's really happy. The next day morning, he's hungry again and he's seeing a fruit hanging. That day, he goes and has the fruit. That sweet is bitter. I'm sorry, that fruit is bitter and it is a little sour and bitter and it's terrible. And he is really dissatisfied and he is going through the pain of having consumed that fruit. And he just goes back to his nest. And at that time, he just looks up that Paramatma bird is just happy, constant bliss. And this fellow is going through a yo-yo in life, sometimes happy, sometimes depressed, sometimes happy, sometimes depressed. And he thinks, I think I need to make a tourism there. I must tour and go up there. Then he goes, with all determination, he takes a few steps and jumps to the next branch. He's got to cross about 7, 8 branches to reach the Paramatma bird. So he just jumps and he crosses about 2 branches and suddenly he feels very hungry and he sees a fruit and he has the fruit. He grabs it and has it and it's very sweet and delicious and he's extremely happy and he's so satisfied. He feels life is great and he goes back to his nest. He descends down. He goes back home. And the next morning, he has another fruit. It is bitter, it is sour. He is very unhappy. And he is just looking at the Paramatma. And now, the Mundaka Upanishad, what it is trying to say is, we are all in the spiritual tourism. Now, we ascend, then we descend. We ascend, then we descend. We go up there. When we are really depressed, we go up there. That is the reason Kunti, aunt of Krishna, she tells Krishna, Vipada Santuna Saswata Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yasyat Punar Bhava Darshan. Hey Krishna, please give me sadness. Please give me difficulty. Only when I'm having difficulty, I think of you. Otherwise, I don't think of you. So this is very beautiful and deep meaning. It says, we are constantly doing that spiritual tourism. We are trying, retreating. We've got to be consistent in that endeavor of going up there. So it is such a discipline and determination that is required, this path. And we've got to be constantly a witness. Now, the bird that is sitting up there is a witness. And the bird that is sitting down there is a consumer. It consumes good things, feels happy, consumes bad things, feels unhappy. Just even think of the reels and the YouTubes and other things. The present generation, the Gen X or the Gen Z, I'm sorry, they go through so much of trouble. There are people who come to me, the depression level is so much higher. One day they are exhilarated, very, very thrilled. The other day they are depressed because they are consumer. But if you're just a witness and if you're just an observer, that is, the Paramatma is an observer, Jivatma gets sucked into the consumption of everything. So now how to become a witness and an observer? Awareness. Create more and more awareness inside of you. And as you create awareness, you bring in a distance between you and the world. You are connected with more with the Paramatma and not with the world, not sucked into that. Otherwise, you'll go through this. It's okay. No, I want to consume that sweet fruit. Yeah, go ahead. But you will have a consequence. You'll be happy. You're extremely happy today. Then another day you're going to consume a bitter fruit, and that is going to leave you in bitterness. Yeah. So that is typically what he talks about. This Dvasuparna Sayuja Sakhaya. It talks about the 2 birds, Paramatma and Jivatma, and we are in the journey of Jivatma. Yes, Vikram.
Yeah, I think Ramakrishna Paramahansa mentioned that life is a divine play. So it's same thing, right? It's divine play. Spiritual tourism, basically.
Spiritual tourism. Yes, that is right. Yeah, that's right. So I'll just touch upon the next shloka and we will close. That is the ultimate shloka of the Karma Yoga, right? Everybody will be quite aware of this. 247,
yes.
the ultimate. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturбhu ma te sangotsva akarmani. The most important shloka from the Gita. Yes, this has 4 parts. Many people just talk about the first phrase. Karmanyevadhikaraste. Your right is solely to action, never to its fruits. Even very practically, if you think, yeah, you don't know. You're doing the action and the fruit and the result is going to come only after the action. How do you know? You don't know. You can probably in anticipation, expectation, all that. So then you don't know. So seriously, you don't know. So that's what Karna tells Arjuna is your job, your right, or karma adhikar, which is authority. Right, only is to action. So right now your job is to go and fight. That is it. Period. Ma phaleshu kadachana. You have no rights over the fruit of it. You don't know. You really don't. Because there are too many dynamics happening in the cosmos. You really don't know because your action has to lead to this. No, there is no guarantee. Then, ma karma phala hetur bho. Let not the fruit be the motive of your action. This is very useful. So, this is something we can become even more and more aware before any action or communication or interaction we have with people around us, even before we set out to do it. What is my intention? Am I going to go and talk to that person because I want a certain result? If I become aware of that, that's useful. Because without my awareness, when I turn up going and doing that at a subconscious level, I'm expecting, I have a motive. Oftentimes, I'll get disappointed. Oftentimes, I'll go with a motive. Okay, I'll go and tell this to that person. That person will tell me that. And this is at a conscious level. Conscious level is still okay because you're aware. But at most of the time, 99% of the time, we are operating out of subconscious level. So what he says is, if you're going to be doing, setting out to action with a motive inside of you, and that too at a subconscious level, you're bound to get disappointed in life. Then he says, with all of these things, don't get attached to inaction also. Ma karma phala hetur bhu mate sangotsva. Sangotsva is attachment to akarmani. Then you cannot say, oh, okay, I don't even know what's going to happen, then I will not do it. That is not your dharma. Then you're going against your dharma. You have to act. So you have to act selflessly, act with complete alignment without conflict, and act without attachment to outcome. So that is in short for us Karma Yoga. There is more to it that we can probably continue later. Anything that you want to say, ask.
It is like trust the process, maybe. You need to trust the process without like expectation. You need to trust be in the flow
Yes.
of
Yes.
the cosmos. And
Yes.
still, I have in this discussion, I have one question. It
Yes.
they have been told to let go certain things sometimes. To
Yes.
let go means
Yes.
when the things are not happening, so just
Yes.
allow to let go. But that
Yes.
let go means that is again, can we call it as an action or inaction? What
See,
do we call it?
let
Let go.
let go. Let go is a conscious action. It's a wisdom. 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 Anything that takes you to the state of peace of mind is
Hmm.
a very sattvic action with awareness. You're not rigid to hold on to it because you're able to understand that is not serving me anymore. It is disturbing me. It is taking you toward peace. And that's a very, and you become aware of it. And you're intentionally doing it. Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, let go. How to actually means how do we process the let go in a very effective way? We can say how do we try to certain times it works in certain things, but some of the cases this let go takes a long time to happen. Some of the things it
Yes.
is easy, but while in some of
Yes.
the cases it is difficult.
Yes.
So how do
That
we
means,
process let go?
yeah, that means you've invested your emotion and ego pretty highly in those areas. Then it becomes more difficult. The attachment is so high, it is difficult. To probably forgive somebody in the road who hit me with a bike, it's easier for me because I don't have much grudge against that person. Anyway, that moment he hit me, person is a stranger. He says sorry, I say okay, I let go. It's fine. But more and more, I'm attached to certain object and people. My ego is entangled with that relationship. It is again the problem, the culprit here is the greater attachment, greater is the difficulty. You got to loosen it up slowly and probably rewire yourself in such a way. But neuroplasticity, I mean, according to the neuroscience, the neurology is very plastic in the sense it will adapt. It will adapt, but it's going to take time because the ego
So it
entanglement is high.
may not,
Sorry?
may happen that maybe in certain cases we may not be able to let go that thing throughout our life also. Maybe that may be the possibility. Throughout the lifetime, we may not be able to let go particular thing. That even a possibility.
Yes, that is there. That is again personality to personality, Shilpa. So maybe there is a person A who is able to let go of the
Yeah.
same thing. B is not able to let go. Some of the personalities are more rigid. That is also the vasana we carry, the
Right.
imprints we carry. You must
Yeah.
have seen in your life, some people are cool, right? Some people are easygoing and they take it easy. And there are some others, who take things too seriously. Yeah. But even the awareness is good. Even the awareness is good. Yeah, this is my style. I'm taking much too seriously. Let me loosen up a little bit. Maybe
Yes.
probably some kind of pranayam, some
Yes.
kind of deeper breathing, helps. It helps. And when that is practiced on a constant basis, it can be useful. It can be very, very useful. But first level is, your ability to talk